What's going on, guys? Today we're inside of Jecht's account, and this is a 100% free-to-play player. Just kidding. It's not. It's not a free-to-play account. It's not a massive whale account, though. We have some empowered champions throughout. We have a lot of good champions. The biggest area I think it's lacking on as far as the champion page alone. So you have the empowerments, the champion variety, and then the souls. I think souls is probably what is the lowest on the list. We have a lot of really good champions. We have a Volcanos, who I would love to have. Here he is right here, 5-star, which is perfect. We have Nell at 5-star. We have some Crixia, Embreeze, Androck, Mikage. If we had Wixwell, it would be even better. Unfortunately, he missed the Wixwell fusion, but maybe he picks Wixwell up sometime in the future. Easy Chimera team, but if not, I got some ideas for him. Now, his account overall is very well progressed in the game, and I got a feeling a lot of you are in a very similar spot to this account, where you're approaching kind of that end game, but the areas you need to improve on is a lot of min-maxing and fine-tuning to really break into and excel in those areas. So if we take a look at where he's at in his account, I'm going to pull up this good old trusty snapshot in time review sheet of his account, but he is 18 million player power, 238 legendaries, level 100 account. Now, this does not count the empowered champions. I don't really care about those. So as far as like counting extra legendaries, the rank 6 champions are 244. Dungeon times all look pretty good. If you want to see what kinds of dungeon teams he has set up, let's go take a look at that real quick. Not looking at that one. That's okay because it's locked and we're not spending because it's not free to play. We're looking at this right here. Hard Ice Golem 10, Hard Dragon 10, very similar teams. And this is what I love. You have a core of a team, which in this case, it's going to be Seer and Kymar. And then you kind of swap these champions out in your various different teams. I think this is great. And if you get into a similar mindset, it makes building multiple teams much easier. You can expand this to, okay, Hydra. This Hydra champion's also used in Arena. Let's build them really well, and it doubles up in both areas. It's limited as far as which champions you can do that with, but his Sand Devil team, for example, that Siphi is going to be used in Arena as well. The Odin can be used in the same build in both areas if built correctly, and the Newts in Sand Devil 25 can also be used down here in Fire Knight Hard. They could also be used in Spider Hard 10, which they are, which is awesome. So you have a limited group of champions being used in a lot of areas, which is going to save your best of the best gear for Arena, which is typically where you need that very top tier gear. You typically don't need 400 speed champions in Stone Skin for Ice Golem, just as an example. Of course, champions like that would be more so in Chimera or Hydra, but either way, you don't typically need insane crazy gear for a lot of PvE content until you're pushing, the top min-max damage, and then you start getting some crazy builds, but that's not where this account is at anyways. So Spider is at 13 seconds, very good time there. Dragon, we got a minute 4, very good as well. 2x speed is on, definitely should be farming this, and he already told me he will be farming this a lot as well. Fire Knight, we're at 2 minutes and 57 seconds. This could definitely be lowered. I did run it, and it was working, which is awesome. This could be improved closer to like a minute or so. I don't know if there's a Padrig in this account, or actually if there's any counterattack champions, but ultimately, it doesn't really matter. If this team is fast enough for you, then it's good, right? So you could use a Martyr. You could throw in a Thor for some faster wave clear. That's really what this comes down to, is Razovarg is not doing enough to clear the waves quickly. If you were to throw in Thor, and we're still able to, break the shields and everything, he could place that decreased speed on the boss, giving you more time to just, do the A1s from the Newt, break through the Fire Knight stuff, and you're going to be okay. So it really depends on how you have your team set up. You lose the increased speed, but you will gain the decreased speed from Thor, and you lose a few multi-hits, but you get a 6-star Blessing champion. You can mix this up. You definitely could improve this time. I personally really don't like it when I have dungeon runs going over like a minute and a half, because anything past that, I'm having to leave my PC on for a long time. If I wait too long for an event, things start to get a little bit weird. So it's completely up to personal preference, but there are ways to make this faster. One of them being throwing Thor in place of Razovarg. You could potentially even, instead of having the double fast ally attack champions in this team, it should be almost 300 speed on both these champions. It is. You could have a Martyr in here so that the Fire Knight, when you get there, Cardiel will open with his A2 ability, which is going to place the block buffs in Revival and Death, have Martyr and Bolster gear, and then have the Fire Knight do the slam, everybody do a counterattack, or even if the newts are built to go before the Fire Knight, which they are, then have them open with this A2 ability on the Fire Knight, and then Cardiel still opening with that A2, and the Fire Knight is a slam. The newts both use their ally attack. Now you can free up these two spots for some different champions. You wouldn't have to go with a Martyr in that spot, for example. You could leave Lady Mikage there, just have her open with a different skill. But you could have this first spot be a Thor or something to get through the waves quicker. So now you're getting to the boss in less than a minute, ideally. Thor is an amazing champion to do that with. You get to the boss, somebody's in bolster set, so you survive that big slam. No decreased defense or anything like that's going to be placed. And then you have double ally attack plus 2 newts going in, which is going to be 6, 12, 18 hits just from the newts, basically. Not even counting the Cardiel and Mikage. And then newts from there both open with this A3 ability, or they prioritize the A3 ability, though technically you don't have to have this as a priority because the newts, actually I'll take this off personally, because newts on Fire Knight now will prioritize that if the shield is down, but if the shield is up, they're going to prioritize the A1. If you have it set to number 1 priority here, they will use this A3 ability even if the shield is up, which it does no damage and it doesn't really do anything whatsoever. Plarium did fix Newt's AI a while back, which is pretty cool, but that's enough about Fire Knight. It's not going to be the main focus of the video. We have Potion Keep there, Phantom Shogun, Iron Twins, very good stuff. Good teams across the board. As for Faction Wars, yes, Lydia is there. Hard now is the goal, which Hard Faction Wars is somewhere that you definitely should be focusing. Because down here you can see, for Hard Faction Wars, every stage on Hard is better than a normal stage. Specifically because Stage 7, you get rare glyphs and epic relics. Stage 11, you get epic glyphs and legendary relics. Stage 16, legendary glyphs and mythical relic material. But even on Stage 1, you're getting rare materials for your relics. But on normal, you're not getting that. You're just getting the materials for forging. You're not getting any glyph materials. You're not getting any relic materials, which when you start getting into later and later stuff in the game, any relic material is going to be helpful. Of course, you want to get into the legendary and mythical stuff, but even baseline is going to be great. Also, once you start getting a little bit higher, specifically way down here to stage 15 plus, you're only going to get 5 and 6 star glyphs, which is a huge help because now you don't have to worry about all those 1-star glyphs. I've been into accounts where they have like 200 plus 1-star glyphs. That's just a ton of 1-star glyphs at that point. And he is doing some hard mode. There's definitely some stages. Okay, he did all of his keys today there. He did no keys today over in High Elves. Let's take a look at his High Elves real quick. Do we have the option of even doing High Elves in Faction Wars? They're not an easy faction to do at all. But if you get a few champions taken up, you only need 5, right? Don't worry about the conditions, the stars. You're not going to be able to hit those just yet anyways. Maybe it takes too much time, but just worry about getting something going, getting a team going. 3-star, 1-star, no stars. Well, you do want some stars, but no 1-star, I don't care. Islin, Arbiter, we throw in a Deliana for some AoE stuns possibly, which we're going to get into another point about that in just a minute. We have Royal Guards, fantastic option. If you pick up some other strong champions, actually Ethlin the Golden, I think is the name, is a very strong champion in High Elves. Void Nuker, very good champion. AoE double hit there. Actually hits pretty hard and places some good debuffs as well. Now, when it comes to Faction Wars, this tip right here is going to be very important, which is your gear presets, which I'm not for sure where I put that note. Right here, presets could be more general in the global section. What I mean by that is a lot of players get used to just typing in random stuff in the global presets. And if that's how you function, great. But the global preset could be made so much better for you if you used it for what I believe it's probably used for. Now, some of these are fine. You have 50 slots total, so these are okay. You still have another 30 slots basically. But if you come through here and you put, okay, we're going to find a fast accuracy stun set that I can throw in a support champion like Deliana who places other debuffs, but also I want to play stun. We'll go in here, we'll go fitting room. Okay, we're going to use this piece, we're going to use this piece, we're going to use this piece, and we're going to use this piece. Well, now we need a chest plate and a shield of some kind. Well, we're going to throw on let's say maybe an accuracy chest plate, or maybe just do an HP percentage. Typically, support champions who are going to be in a stun set are probably going to place other debuffs. That's why I'm using accuracy. You don't need accuracy for anything else as far as placing the actual stun. But we throw on this piece, and then we throw on this piece. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to do this because this is breaking tons of different champions, but you could come in here, exclude that, and save it as high speed, if it was high speed, accuracy, stun. I don't know. However many characters you want to use, you could save it as that. So then when you save as a global preset, when you're doing faction wars and all this stuff, you can easily just do a run with your champions, let them die, have the team in the recently used, and then just swap out the pieces that you need to get through the stage. That is the benefit of not having any cost to swap gear anymore. The global presets become so much more valuable, especially if you utilize them to the best of their ability. Now, for me and my account, I haven't been utilizing these to the best of their ability, and I'm going to change that now that I don't have to worry about spending silver to swap this. But like this preset right here, other than for the Marius mission, is probably useless. This is probably what it's being saved for, is Marius stuff, which is fine. But a lot of these champions, they could just have their presets saved because this 9-piece Feral example, this Feral build is only relevant to him because your other faction champions may not actually have the 3 accessories. So that Feral may not actually work whatsoever. So just keep that in mind when you're pushing your faction wars, or when any of you guys watching are pushing faction wars or Curse City. The exact same thing applies to Curse City. And while this account should be focusing on faction wars, they also should be focusing on Curse City. Curse City gives some of the best gear in the game, some great rewards overall, but this stuff is definitely worth doing. Now, this area over here, what is this called? The Dead Rise. It's pretty easy for an account like this. Cobble Market is pretty easy. And then we have what, Plague Home or something? What is this place over here called? I don't know what it's called. It has no name on it. Does it have an, nope, right here, Plague Home. Relatively easy, right? And then up here, you start in Soul Cross, you start to get a little bit more tricky. Now, if you're able to spend some time, get through these stages, great. The ball stages specifically, you want to do those whenever you can. But at bare minimum, do the ones that are challenging for your account, do Amius, and continue progressing like this. Each of these rooms that you can clear, this will be saved for future rotations. So if you clear this with this team on like auto or whatever, you can clear it again in future rotations. And it looks like he has, because it's saved there. Maybe, or maybe it's just used before. But some of these rooms, they don't have any presets there. So you probably haven't done those yet. Yeah, probably haven't done those yet, which is not a big deal. But like all these ones, okay, this one right here, you haven't done it yet. Nothing saved. This one, once again, you could build some champions for that. But then again, some rooms like this, maybe your Nishak, likely your Nishak, cannot solo this. So there's really no reason to build this. But build for the teams you can. Push this. More so push Faction Wars because it's somewhere you can easily push. And as you're pushing this, they kind of work together. You push Faction Wars, you're going to progress in Curse City. You push Curse City, you're probably going to progress in Faction Wars as well. But on to the next area. So the next area is going to be the arena. This is going to be the area that I focus the most on because I think it has the most potential improvement. Clan Bosses is all good here. Hydra, he's doing good. He's one king all the difficulties with some pretty decent damage, though he could definitely push this up a bit. Really depends on your clan and how you guys do in Chimera Clash, or Hydra and Chimera Clash, with how much damage you plan to do. 236 million with the Titus team, a Brogni specific Titus team is okay. We could definitely push this quite a bit higher. I actually have 2 recommendations for champions that could make a much better team, which would be Krokad and Shayak. These 2 are very strong together. And you have Krokad already at a 5-star blessing. Put him in Stone Skin plus Savage. He's even good for the arena as well as another go second option for 3v3. Not really live arena. I wouldn't probably use him for live arena on this account, but he could be. Now, ultimately, it's going to come down to great for Hydra, potentially good for 3v3 defense. But for Hydra, that team number 1, obviously can't see the other teams, unfortunately. We scroll down through here and see, where is he at? Hopefully not at the bottom. Okay, good. Right here. Kind of like in the middle of the pack. We have 170 million damage. Could definitely improve this. We have some decent champions there. Hard mode, we have, let's see, 763. So actually did some really good damage on hard. Right here, 381. So not bad either. We have Mikage plus Ninja. That's good. We could optimize these, push a little bit more damage. It's really up to you and your clan. Full auto is probably what you prefer to do anyways. Now, let's jump into the next area. So he's good there. Hydra good. Doom Tower, everything's being cleared. The champion fragments are being collected. Working through these, very nice. Now, an area he was specifically interested in having help with was Chimera. So in Chimera, the team that he's running, he's not quite getting one key done, but he definitely could be. This is a common team: Nekmo, Lydia, Elva, Mikage, and Ninja. He's very close to one keying it. Now, this current rotation, I believe, is what? Force and Magic. So in other rotations, he should be okay. Why? I wish you could actually see something in Chimera when this is not, you have no keys, but you can't. I think that's crazy. Either way, you could definitely one key this with a few changes. That's going to at least increase your odds because you're really not far from it right now. And this isn't a great rotation. Not the worst, I don't believe, but definitely not the best. So Mikage, if you were able to switch her over into Merciless plus Relentless, she's going to get more turns, more chances to activate the A3 ability, more chances to activate this A1 ability specifically. The A2 is nice, but you could even turn that off if you wanted. But the Perched Shadow, what it's going to do is 10% chance to receive an extra turn when using their default skill if at least one active skill is on cooldown. So if you're going to use this, make sure you use your A2 and A3 for Mikage, because if this is on and your A2 is always off cooldown because it's never used, this won't actually work. So make sure all your skills are on, and then you'll be cycling through A3, A2, A1, maybe into an A3, A2, something like that. Who knows? But Relentless plus Merciless, you're going to get a ton of turns with her. Yeah, you're going to lose the 10% damage boost that she'll give because of the A3 ability given 2 buffs, but you're going to get so much more turns with her. It's going to be crazy. For the other champions in the team, you have Elva, 9-piece protection. That's great. I like that. And I actually like this a lot as well, specifically for the champion who is being targeted by the Ram form, because the Ram form is going to, for each turn of cooldown on all their skills. Actually, wait. Wearer receives 1% less damage for each turn of cooldown on all their skills. Would that be cooldowns total? Either way, I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's like I guess it's skills on cooldown, right? So not actually that good. I thought it was the skills, I guess, turn count. Either way, doesn't matter. This is kind of interesting. Gives extra HP, extra speed. Maybe that's the best thing about it. But protection is really good. Having some 9-piece protection, or even 6-piece if you can't get 9-piece in Chimera, is huge, because then the ultimate form won't be stripping you with no buffs remaining and doing even more damage. You'll be at least protecting yourself from some of that damage, especially if she's protecting things like, block debuffs. It helps with the full auto aspect of it, so it's good. This Elva build is solid. 329 speed, very nice. Your Ninja also looks good. The Nekmo, I think he could be changed, though granted he's naked right now. He won't be typically, of course. He's usually in Relentless, but getting him into Merciless plus Relentless, it's a completely different ball game. And if you wanted, you could even put him into Merciless plus Relentless and then Perch Shadow. But I honestly love Journal of Necrotus on him. The turn meter boost from his A3 ability is sweet, and then having it even more impactful from the Journal of Necrotus is even better. So his build's good. If you can eventually get him into, 4-piece Merciless, 4-piece Relentless, that's going to be excellent for him, and you're just going to get even more turns. Ultimately, what that Chimera team comes down to is as many turns as possible. And his Lydia build is good as well, though 9-piece Pharaoh would be better because she places 3, 4 debuffs that nobody else does. Ninja also places the decreased defense, but 4, so you're looking at 20% damage boost versus the 10%, right? So you do have a nice little boost there. Actually, it'd be a little bit different because this doesn't get placed on everything, the block active, so it'd be 5, 10, 15, potentially 20% versus just a 10%. But if this is the best you can do, great. This is a really good set. Protection also gives the benefit of not having it stripped, which is very nice as well. And you may not even have the ability to do 9 pieces of Pharaoh, which you don't. So maybe in the future you could do that. But for now, very good Lydia build. 6-star, Nature's Bounty, very strong as well. Getting those regular fears. switched over into True Fear. So now you can do damage into the ram form, not get it reflected. You can just go crazy on it. Especially with having Mikage in the team, you're going to have those ally attacks pop off, which is great. Just make sure that in your team preset, your setup, that Lydia is as close to the top as she can be, and she is. Fantastic. So you got her right behind Necmo. So when Mikage does the ally attack, Lydia places the True Fear, hopefully, and then Ninja doesn't just nuke himself into oblivion. Ninja has a Rethi Cornet as well. So good setup there. A few small tweaks, I think, can push you over into the 1-key Ultra Nightmare consistently. Still get you a lot of trials as well. Very good team for trials. Not full auto, I don't believe. At least I never ran it full auto. But still, a good team nonetheless. Now, let's see. 13 trials. If those are during mythical material weeks where this team lines up, excellent. You should be getting good mythical materials, 1-key Ultra Nightmare, and a relatively straightforward team to run. Now, as for the next areas, Necmo we'll talk about here, further optimized Ninja. Yeah, I didn't mention that actually. Ninja is currently a little bit overcapped, which there's definitely bigger issues in gearing. Of course, you could drop one of these pieces for a merciless necklace or something in the future and then throw in some more cruel up there. That would be great. The 115% crit rate is not necessary, of course. You could drop that. You could probably switch this helmet for something a little bit better. Let's go price at crit damage. Maybe you can't. And this will just tie back into, hey, we need more farming in Curse City, and you want to do as good as you can there. So this, not worth it, of course, right? You probably don't have it unless you just upgrade some pieces and it maybe pops up somewhere. Either way, 15% crit rate over cap could definitely be taken from something somewhere. I typically like to have no more than 5, maybe 8% over crit rate. But if it's more than that, you're basically looking at 1.5 rolls, basically, of crit rate on a piece that could be used for something else. It is min-maxy, but that's what you're trying to do when you're trying to push into this end-game content, right? Up next, let's talk about his damage dealers and builds in general, because I want to move into 3v3 and just PvP overall. His main focus should be Fire Knight and Dragon, actually Sand Devil / Shogun as well. I'd say especially these during boosted events, and then outside those, it should be Sand Devil and Shogun, because as you can see throughout the account, there's a lot of pieces, especially the top row pieces, that are not ascended. We have some pieces on the most used champions that are ascended, but a lot of them just aren't ascended. Like Embreeze is really not a good build at all. I don't like this build. He doesn't like this build. Nobody likes this build. So he needs some love. He has no blessing, so I understand why he may not be getting the love that he deserves right now, but eventually he will deserve it for sure. But Lydia, she deserves it. She could be boosted. She could be changed. We have a lot of champs throughout that definitely, like, this set's not a set, right? It's not what we're looking for. When we look through Odin, we get some better sets on here. We also get some pieces ascended. When you start ascending the set pieces, it makes them easier to fit in as well. So that's something to keep in mind. But Savage, of course, putting it on these nuke champions will be huge. And then Sand Devil and Shogun as well, since his fastest champion can only be 380 right now, which is actually Crixia with the best speed gear and the relic equipped. That's at least what the Hell Hades Optimizer showed me. 380 speed is pretty decent. You're not building Crixia like that, and his current fastest is Siphi at 372, farming some more Dragon, getting all the legendary pieces, rolling them up if they have speed already, specifically legendary 6-star, epic 6-star as well, trying to roll for that triple roll speed. Any legendary 6-star piece in speed, roll it up to see if it either quad rolls into a stat, potentially reworking it, or if it has speed, see if it doubles or even triple rolls there. This maybe is a triple roll right here. Be pretty sweet, wouldn't it? Boom. Triple roll speed right here on the video. And you guys can sign up for a takeover down below if you also want some triple roll speeds on your random helmet during this takeover. Just click the link down below, get signed up. If I go for a quad roll here, then you have to do it. Okay, there's no quad roll, but still, if you're interested, click the link down below. Now, this piece right here is basically a sell. There's no reason to continue rolling that anyways. This pair of glove, it has no speed on it, but it's a speed set. If it was to quad roll here, then you want to rework that, right? If it triple rolls and you have a lot of these materials, maybe you want to do it then. I would only do that in sets that could be very beneficial if it landed the ideal stat. Right here, a little bit on the fence. Let's see if it triple rolls. Maybe you could do it. Really depends on what your gear's like. It didn't triple roll. It's basically useless. I would just get rid of it. There's no speed on it. An attack percentage pair of gloves would go on a bomber, which no speed, slow bomber, gets bombed, not fun, get it out of here. Now let's take a look at the other thing I was wanting to talk about, which was not the gear just yet, and that was, how the champions should be built. That can actually be talked about more in the 3v3 section, so let's give it a little bit more time. Champions to focus are right here. Things to do now is right here. If you guys want to read it, of course, Jet can read this whenever he wants. He has his file sent over to him. The gear ascended, most of it isn't ascended. Already talked about that. Lots of gear that should be leveled up. This has been a common reoccurring issue in a lot of these showcases where players have tons of great gear, but all this wasted potential, right? Like this could be the next quad roll speed. It has no speed, but we can make believe, right? Just rework it into quad roll speed. Let's actually go ahead and get a triple roll maybe. No, I thought I was gonna get another triple. I guess it only happens once in the video. Either way, no speed, not for me. Get it out of here. But these could be rolled and see what they actually turn out to be, and you could completely change your fastest champion on the account. One day of rolling through this stuff, now all of a sudden you have a 400 speed champion who's actually able to be competitive in the current speed meta. I probably wouldn't have Sify being the fastest necessarily because she is very susceptible to temporal chains as well as supersonic. So you do have to be careful with that, especially if she's not in 9-piece protection or if she's not in like stone skin or anything. I personally, while it's not typically recommended, I actually had my Crixia as my fastest champion, but I've seen a lot of players using Fabians as well as Armands as their fastest champions in their account, which I think is actually a good idea. Odin, I've not seen it, but similar thing. He could probably be a good one, especially if he's at a high blessing, because if they're your fastest and they get banned, well, that's okay. Then you have a go second option. But if they're speed tuned to your fastest champion and they themselves are not that fast and your fastest champion gets banned and your Crixia Fabian's not in stone skin, well, they're probably going to die, right? So you just got to be mindful. While typically players build their Sifis the fastest, if your Sify's not that fast in the fastest gear and you always either lose your speed race or you just don't pick her, just maybe consider adjusting the builds on these champions. It's completely up to you, but you do want to make sure your champions are speed tuned to her, whoever you're using. Of course, you have Odin, so the Sify speed's a bit different because you have, an extra 40% speed aura with Void Affinity champions, and as long as he's speed tuned to her, then she's going to be in a pretty good spot. But she is difficult to speed tune to because, one, her turn meter boost is very low at 10%. The increased speed's nice, but anybody who has supersonic or temporal chains is going to be like foaming at the mouth when they see her, basically. They just want her to use this A2 ability and then them boost and cut in. So you just got to be mindful about that. But before we get into a whole 3v3 breakdown, Stone Skin was also one of the sets that just wasn't really upgraded or around. So we have a lot of them that are just waiting to be upgraded. All these pieces waiting. This is huge potential here. But all it is potential. We don't know if it's good potential or bad potential, but there is potential here. Now, if we look at equipped, let's see how many champions are equipped with Stone Skin alone. Not really a ton, to be honest. You don't have any crit damage gloves for Stone Skin champions. You have one, but the Stone Skin gear definitely can be improved. And all of that is going to tie into Arena. Now, with Arena, the reason you're going to want to do this is, one, do fast farming for just your regular Great Hall bonuses. This is fantastic. You are working into the areas that are a little less impactful, but at this point in the game, you want to get any benefit you can, and finishing this is kind of just a completionist thing anyways. You have finished the most important ones, but the area bonuses, you finish Faction Wars, fantastic. That's going to make Faction Wars much, much easier for you. But if you get a 20% defense ignore in any of these other factions, it's basically equipping a Savage set on the champion in that area, period. Which is amazing because your Thor, for example, has no Savage set right now. He's being used in Hydra. Right now, he technically kind of, in a way, not technically, but in a way has close to what a Savage set would do. Not quite, but you stack a Savage set on top of this, and now you're looking at, you're even a step closer with Crushing Rend to actually having 100% defense ignore, which is pretty crazy. You have, 31% from Crushing Rend. plus 25% from Savage. So you're looking at 56 plus 20% more. So 76, something like that. And then you have a proc from Helm Smasher. And all of a sudden you're ignoring 100% of the enemy's defense. You add that to Sand Devil, Shogun, Curse City. They don't really care about Demon Lord. Maybe you want to add it to some of these other areas. Really just the areas that you're needing some extra damage boosted in. That's amazing. That's just specifically for ignore defense. Then you start looking at speed. You look at accuracy, resistance, everything. Crit damage. Then your numbers just start to go up just because you're doing live arena. Now, live arena, PvP in general, you're going to want to find some champions that you can put your best gear on that could possibly work in those other areas, but they're going to need to be a core group of champions that have your best gear so you can compete and make it fun. If you're doing live arena and you're losing, that's probably not fun. I would definitely recommend grinding a lot outside of the season. So like in Curse City, if you're picking up those bags of coins that last for a while, if you're getting these outside of the season, great time to use them. During the season, it's going to be a bit more difficult, and especially in the beginning, to actually grind a lot because you have all the other players in gold who are pushing up and competing. Give it like a week or two, and you can probably grind, a few refreshes per day. But until that point, just do your fights, try to win them, and then try to get your champions in the best builds to make that as likely you're going to win as possible because of all the extra benefits you're going to get. So what would I do? Well, let's take a look at this in 3v3 because this would be a good idea on how to build out the champions, which champions you're actually needing to set up. So the teams you currently have is going to be an Odin team, an Arbiter team, and a Nell team. Now, the first thing he told me in one of his messages was, like a similar video I did recently, his account is not lucky with speed and cannot make that fast of champions. However, 2 of your 3 teams are speed teams. So if you know you're not fast, don't use speed teams. Yes, you could bait the enemy into picking the wrong speed team and maybe you win. This one's fairly fast at 372. And then this one is, let's see, 320. Nobody's losing to this speed team, right? As far as like outspeeding them, they're definitely going to outspeed you. So what you need to do, and what I would recommend, is finding a speed team. You have Odin with a 40% speed aura. That is huge. So definitely get him into a speed team. You're going to use Siphi alongside that Odin because Siphi is actually going to be somewhat speed tuned to him. I would personally try to get her a little bit faster if you could. If you can't, don't worry about it. 372, if it's your best bet, throw it out there. If it works, awesome. If not, well, that is what it is. Your Odin, I would have him make sure he's speed tuned to Siphi. You can go to Deadwood Jedi's website and he has a speed calculator there. I got a feeling he's probably speed tuned right now. He should be okay. But if not, maybe 350 will be fine. Either way, you want him to have good accuracy. So this is a good build. I'd prefer Pinpoint or Stone Skin on top of it. But for now, this is solid. So from here, you have these 2 champions speed tuned. You have a Strip and a Lockout, and you have your Turn Meter Booster. So you don't have to go with more Void Affinity champions for this. You could if you wanted, but you don't really have a ton of other Void Nukers that are really going to deserve your best gear for all the different areas in the game. So what could you do instead? Well, you have Rhodos. Rhodos is a fantastic option. He is 5-star though. 5-star Rhodos is much different than a 6-star because 6-star gets the Ward of the Fallen. You also don't have, you also do not have 9-piece Merciless, which makes a big deal. His build, actually pretty good. 230 speed, relatively fast. Could be a good champion. Let's see what else we have. Embreeze. Why do I keep calling him Carnage? What in the world? Embreeze would be really good. Harima is really good because Siphi gives increased defense, making Harima do more damage. So we actually fill this in. Let's throw in a Harima. Put some defense ignore gear on her. Put Lightning Cage. This team's going to be pretty tanky. It's going to be fast. We look for, we have a Strip champion already. We could possibly... Nishak, the tricky thing about him is we really need to increase attack for him to really shine. We don't have that in this team, so I wouldn't even worry about that personally. We already have a Strip champion there. You could even throw in something like... Do you have He-Man on this account? He-Man could do really good if you had him. Another HP-based nuker could do really good. Thor and Savage plus Stone Skin could do really good. Since your Thor is one of your few 6-star blessing champions, he could do amazing. Thor also, on his A2 ability, ignores block damage and unkillable, which is huge. So having him in this team, he also gives himself increased attack. This could be a really powerful team for you. You don't die super fast. You have Harima with her super annoying passive. You have Odin with his block damage passive. You hopefully are going to be faster than them anyways, but you have several things going on that is hopefully going to let you survive longer. Get these two in Stone Skin. Get these two in Stone Skin would be cool, but probably not very likely. But you should be okay in this team, especially if your Odin strips everybody. Make sure he's in Wand of Submission, and you should be good. Now, this is going to be your speed team. Now, for your account, you're in a very interesting situation where you have two of the top tier Go Second champions, both with 5-star blessings and the relics they need. Though Volcanos could be in Wand of Submission, it doesn't really matter there which one you go. The Wand of Submission will help him not get sheeped as much. Pinpoint would be great for him. Stone Skin plus Pinpoint. But since he's not there currently, he's in 6 pieces of very high resistance Stone Skin. This could be fine for now. But what I would recommend, since you're not going to win most speed races, go for 2 Go Second teams. So what we'll do is just fill in 2 champions there. This will be a Nell team, and this will be a Volcanos team. Now, the Volcanos team, you already know you have to have at least 1 Demon Spawn champion. However, if you were able to pick 3 in here, well, now you're placing Block Revive on enemies killed while under HP burn debuff. Even if he's dead, you of course get the one benefit that when debuffs, when HP burn is placed, it cannot be resisted or blocked, which means it's just always going to go through, which is amazing. Now, with that said, let's see who else we have in Demon Spawn that could be really good for you. You, of course, have Lammasu, which is a top-tier champion. You have Duchess. Duchess makes for a great Go Second option. Put her in Stone Skin. This team, full Stone Skin team. So if we're using Volcanos in the very back, actually, let's put him in the very back. Just for my organization sake, it doesn't really matter what order he's in unless you're doing like an ally attack team. But this could be a good start. Now let's see, what else do we have? Do we have any other Demon Spawn champions who could really be interesting with a Go Second team? If we put one more in there, now all of a sudden, Volcanos, each time an HP burn is activated on an enemy, he gains 5% ignore defense up to 100%. If there are multiple champions, only one will activate. But he's going to be gaining ignore defense up to 100%, so not having Savage on him won't be a huge deal. He's still going to hit really hard. The resistance build, I like it. He's going to get locked out, but I mean, to be fair, other than getting sheeped by Armons, he doesn't really need to worry about that too much. The sheep from Armons is a big deal, but if you had Wand of Submission instead of the Skull, then the sheep from Armons isn't really that much of a problem anyways. Now, on to the next champs. Let's see. We have Helicath. Helicath in a fast build, throw up block damage. If he had protection, could be really cool as well. If we used Chimera, of course, more of a speed option there. Not always a bad thing, though. Having that fast threat so they can't just go a slow team or they're going to get locked out is a strategy I do like to run a lot of times, which is a pseudo Go Second type team. Could be good for the Volcano setup or could be good for the Nell setup. Both of these could be countered. You do have He-Man. How did I not find him a second ago? Both of these could be countered by a Marichka, though. Not a big deal because you got them spread out. The chances somebody's going to have 2 Marichkas is pretty low. Besides, she's only going to block the first instance and then you're going to be fine. If you had stock on the account, you could do stock Volcanos Nell for some pretty nasty stuff as well. Let's see if you have any other demon spawns we want to put in here. Nell, oh not Nell, Lammasu is not bad. Hefrek's a pretty good one actually as well. Hefrek's a cool champion. Having that HP burn activated is nice. I would consider getting him in Lightning Cage so that the Stone Skin can't be stripped. And then for this spot right here, we're doing a Go Second team. You can either go for a fast champion who's going to threaten the enemy, so they have to take a turn pretty soon, or you could either go, or you could even go for another support champion. You don't have Crixia being used in any team. Crixia could be really good here. Have her built pretty fast. Have her prioritize in this lockout. But if they lock her out, then have her switch to there. So basically doing number 1 and then number 2 for like your defense setup, and then number 1 over here, so that if she's locked out from this skill, she'll prioritize switching into the other form and then resetting everybody else's skills. Have her like 350 plus, maybe in supersonic. Definitely make her very good resistance and accuracy. Resistance is important because her second form, it boosts her speed. In her first form, she gets 1 accuracy for every 2 resistance anyways. So Crixia is awesome. If you're able to get Stone Skin with her, even better. But essentially, she's here so that the enemy, they just can't go, okay, well, we're going to run all of our champions at 300 speed and just destroy you because we don't need to buff or do any turn meter boosting. Nothing that's going to proc Volcanos, and we're just going to win. Well, no, now they can't do that. They have to keep in mind Crixia is going to lock them all out. Duchess is going to be right behind her, placing block debuffs. Stone Skin, 6-piece most likely, relatively fast, opening with either one of these abilities. You can do the res or this A2, either one. The A2 should be first because nobody should die, but either way, you have these options. You have 2 other Demon Spawn champions in the team, no block revive, but you do have that defense ignore. You get Volcanos and maybe Pinpoint plus Stone Skin, drop that resistance down some, and then have him faster with some crit damage so that when he does get a turn, he can actually kill people with either this A2 or this A3 ability. You could do Wand of Submission and replacing of the resistance, which could make the enemy, Armons or whatever you're worried about, actually get sheeped instead. And even if he dies, you have Hefrak there ready to go in and smack him, and you have a strip champion. So we have a strip champion, go second options. This is go second, strip, kind of a pseudo go second team in a way. You're not trying to build Crixia so fast that she goes first though, just something else threatening the enemy. Now the Nell team is going to be very similar. Nell is going to be dropping poisons everywhere. She should be in Wand of Submission. Actually, no, she can't be in Wand of Submission. She has to be in Arachnid Elixir. With no Arachnid Elixir, she's useless. Not useless, but much, much less valuable. Whereas Volcanos, he can be in Wand of Submission or the Skull. Either one's going to be great. Not a problem. Now, Nell, her passive is going to be whenever they receive a buff, they're healed, turn meters increased. She places poison on that enemy for 2 turns, will ignore block debuffs. Does not ignore Stone Skin, but does ignore block debuffs, which is pretty cool. Increases her turn meter. So you have her built well. I think she could be built better. She does have good accuracy. She has good attack. She has not good speed. I would like for the speed to be higher, but if you're not worried about this, it's okay. This steals all buffs from all enemies is huge. It's actually very helpful. And it also instantly activates 1 tick of all poisons. So having her more like 230, 240, 250 is going to be really good if you could do that. You'd have to judge for yourself how much attack you'll actually need, because I know your gear on her is Pinpoint plus Stone Skin. I like this a lot, but the overall attack for her is a bit low. Now, you could drop her accuracy a decent amount because she's going to ignore, 35% of the resistance anyway? No, she ignores no resistance until 6-star soul, actually. I forgot. So right now, it's probably a pretty good build. I would just like to see more speed. And if you were to get more speed from this instead of that attack, what would you be looking at? You could get a decent amount more, but not really. Actually, it'd be a good chunk more, wouldn't it? Let's see. Hide the set filters, fix that. Pinpoint. If you got the 6-star blessing as well, you would lose 700 attack, which is pretty big. You have to test it out for yourself, but she puts multiple instances of the poisons anyways. You lose some of that attack. She's still going to be decent. You could put some more attack on there, which could be nice. Something for you to test and see, okay, does she do better with the steel? It is powerful. Or is it better with the more speed or the lower speed, whichever one? So test that out. Give it a shot. But the champions around her, let's think about this. So we want a threat. We want something to be able to survive. We want some other options besides just Nell. Of course, if we just build a slow team, they can just build a slow team and just have no buff champions. Probably be a little bit weird, but that is a possibility. What champions do we have here that you maybe were running kind of fast before? First up, let's look for some revive champions. So what revive champions, support champions do you have as options? So other effects, positive revive. Is Ancora, you have Sulfurion. Sulfurion's a cool champion. He's going to bust Stone Skin. He has 283 speed, but you also have Elva. Elva, 330. She's relatively fast, but kind of got to be careful there because of the whole Elva just not having any Stone Skin. Tormund could actually be a pretty interesting champion because now you have a thing where, okay, they don't place block buffs, block debuffs specifically. Block buffs is not the correct thing at all. then Tormund's just going to freeze them. So now you have the threat of, okay, Nell can strip, Tormund's going to freeze. We need 2 more champions, though. We need somebody who's actually going to keep us alive, actually let the fight progress in some way, maybe some other damage dealers. Looking at Pythion could be kind of interesting. Kind of want a speed threat of some kind or somebody to threaten them. Your Fabian would be really nice if he was like a 5-star soul. I really wish he was, because you probably won't be able to build him that great as he is right now. Your Sun Wukong looks pretty cool. How's he built? He does have an arena aura, which is cool. 228, so not built very well right now. Not for damage, that's for sure. You have some 5-star souls throughout on some various different champions. You have a 6-star soul in Ramen 2 with intimidating presence as well. Strip could be pretty interesting. How's he built? 352. Do a strip. Block actives, block passives potentially. If they don't have a passive, blocks their active. And if they do have a passive, it blocks the passive, which is pretty neat. We have a big Mashald there. I've seen Androck used. I would like to use him on my account. I'm not going to suggest him right now for viewer accounts, though. I think Pythion's a cool champion to have. I don't want you to be necessarily pure go second either, though. I do want to have some strip options for you in the team. Embreeze could actually be a really good champion potentially here. Still, I really like a speed aura of some kind. These third teams are always the most difficult to figure out because your other ones typically take the best champions anyways. But getting some other champs here would be really cool. Something where they kind of have to go certain strategies in order to beat you. With like here, it's like, okay, well, they want block debuffs for the Tormund. They don't want that because the Nell is just going to mess them up like that. So kind of that catch-22, I guess. Let's see who else we have. What else we'd want to use here? Duchess is really good. We already are using her somewhere. I really want some more support. And we already see the res options we have. We have a few. Pythion being one of them, we could definitely use. No Ancora, though. Ancora is nice, but for this, it could be fairly similar to Pythion in a lot of ways. If your Nell does enough to kill enemies, that'll be great. Let's go down here and see. Wait, what am I? Okay, these 3. Let's unclick this, unclick this, unclick this. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll go fill first spot, Pythion. Pythion for the cleanses. 6-piece stone skin. Not 6-turn stone skin. 6-piece stone skin. And you still want some answer for some other champs. Nell's steal, all buffs, is really cool. Very powerful for sure. But let's see what all else we have. Tholin's cool. Rhodos is cool. I think Embreeze may actually be one of your best options here. I don't like the lack of speed, though. Sun Wukong could bring a speed aura here. He-Man could bring a speed aura there as well. I don't mind Sun Wukong because he will keep rezzing after he dies. Nell here is obviously... Tormund may not even be needed. If you don't have good gear for him, it'll set him up good. He may not be needed. He's an interesting champion, though, in the fact that he's going to freeze them, and they have to have a team to counter him, and also something that's going to deal with Nell. And then Sun Wukong could actually be pretty nice, I think, because he'll strip them. If you don't make the Nell faster, he'll be able to do that no problem. 230 for Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong's also a champion who can be used in Chimera. You don't need Stone Skin for Sun Wukong, of course, because he's just going to probably die pretty early anyways. But you can leave him as he is. He's going to be doing the A3 and the A2, some strips, make him relatively fast, good damage, and you should have a pretty well-built team here with Nell just dropping the enemies. This one be in your speed team. This one be in your go second. I'd say kind of questionable here. This one should be a good one. This one definitely be a good one. And then this one would be the one that I'd be looking at to test and maybe make changes and tweaks, with Nell being for sure a champion you want to use, but having other champions possibly slot in. Maybe you want to have a fast Fabian in Stone Skin, something like that, because the other champions will be in Stone Skin. Sun Wukong, of course, won't be, but you don't want to be going 3rd and 4th. Like with Nell and Volcanos is not as big of a deal because they'll be placing all their debuffs out there. But if they were to pick Nell off relatively easily, then it's something you want to be mindful of and not just get obliterated if they just ignore Stone Skin, kill her, and then now you're left with no other damage dealer. Well, at least you're left with Wukong and Tormund, who could be a pretty nasty combination there. And of course, if they turn your boost, then Nell's going to mess them up. I would like to have a strip champion of some kind possibly in there, somebody to interrupt them. But either way, this could be a pretty good team for you. Now, when it comes to those builds, we're looking back here. This build for Embreeze is not good. He's obviously not being used much, if at all. Not a good thing there. A lot of the builds on the account definitely need to be swapped into 4-piece Stone Skin plus 4 pieces of something else. I have some things broken down here, but 4-piece Stone Skin, really fast, 6-piece Stone Skin for support champions. For damage dealers, 4-piece Stone Skin plus 4-piece Defense Ignore. It's really what you're going to be going for. And when looking at the champions in general, that seemed to be the biggest issue, is that the champions' stats, I mean, some of them were not good, but the ones that were good are not the ones I'm clicking on, apparently. The ones that are good aren't wearing Savage sets. It seems like you don't really like Savage sets that much. So Kandrafon's wearing a 4-piece Savage. He has 100% crit rate. He has some crit damage. He's a good champion, but only 2-star soul. He is good with Duchess, but I think you have better options anyways. For Odin, he could be put in Stone Skin, make him even stronger, but you just need better Stone Skin for that. Definitely should be in Savage here. Siphi is fine where she's at. You have 5-star soul on Anithwi. He doesn't do that much damage, but he could still be cool. You have a 6-piece Stone Skin on him. I would consider, if you had multiple Wand of Submissions, which you don't, maybe eventually in the future consider that. Skull of Treason is really good, though. Definitely pick up any materials whenever you can. They're very, very important for where you are in the game currently. But trying to get Savage on champions, trying to get Bolster plus Stone Skin, trying to get basically PvP champions into Stone Skin plus another effective set is the way to go with in-game PvP. Champions are just Stone Skin everywhere, basically. And they're fast Stone Skin as well, not slow. The days of 200 speed being fine for a nuker are basically gone in Gold for Arena. Now, with Heffrack, maybe a slight exception, but you still want Savage plus Stone Skin, which a lot of this is going to come from these accessories and even reworking some of these. So like this, you don't have many 6-star purple ore, but maybe you have some 5-star ore that you get a 5-star piece from the Hydra accessory bin, the personal reward stuff, and you just rework it and try to get some crit damage stuff for your Heffrack. Keep somebody in mind, rework those when you think about them, and see how it works out for you. Of course, you could put the 3v3 teams with Rhodos. That was just a relatively quick setup during this video, but hopefully it gives you some idea of what you should be doing. Not running 3 go first teams, not trying to beat somebody in speed race, which you already know you're going to lose. Build 3 teams that have different strategies to them, and ultimately 3v3 is probably not your biggest focus. You're in gold 3, probably able to push gold 4, no problem. So the biggest focus should be building the best champions there to have them then work into live arena. And live arena, you're probably going to be using Crixia quite a bit. I use her. I think she's an awesome champion. You're probably going to be using Odin a decent amount. And then you're going to be using probably Volcanos or Nell. And then eventually Embreeze. Get a soul on him. He's going to be great. And of course, switch him from this stuff to Stone Skin plus Savage. And he should be good there as well. Just out, I could test it, but these teams aren't going to be very good to test. Let's actually test a few times here. So the speed team, we're not built that fast or that great, but let's see how this works out. Probably we should be faster than them over here. But then, of course, Queen of Hearts messes us up, which is expected because Queen of Hearts is going to be a good counter for Siphi. Siphi has a lot of champions who are pretty good counters to her, unfortunately. But they're not going to do a ton of damage because Harima is reducing the damage they deal anyways. Harima is a great asset to have. Now this team, hey, great example right here. All these champions are not built correctly, but against any hegemon, you should be Stone Skinned out anyways. Somebody's in bolster, not for sure who. Mikage does her stuff. They're going to get some buffs up. They get some HP burn activating. If he gets more defense ignore later on, that will be amazing as well. Sorry, my nose is itching. But that would be amazing as well. The bombs running, which is not good. Obviously, this team's not really great against bombs unless you're manualing it. Crixia can switch forms if she's not bombed and strip those. A little bit late there, Crixia. Oh, definitely not what you should have done. Not what you should have done there, Crixia. Not at all. But not really a huge deal. I mean, to be honest, this still could have been successful had I just manualed it a little bit. Now let's jump in here one time and try out the Nell team. Of course, Nell's passive does boost her turn meter quite a bit with the poisons and everything, but you do still want to have some speed, especially if you're trying to steal the buffs. She does get like quite a bit. Let's see. It's 5% for each poison placed by the skill. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 30% turn meter boost, which is really nice. And now they're getting more poisons, more freezes. They're controlled quite a bit, and we're able to kill them. So something to consider. The pinpoint boost could just be left there. I definitely wouldn't want to lose too much attack, but something that may be worth considering adjusting. Do you want the more speed? Are you fine with the speed where it's at? Is a turn meter boost plenty? Because she still is going really fast and cutting in and such. Or would you rather have a little bit more speed? Really, it's up to you. Worth testing out potentially. You do want to make sure she has enough attack to actually kill people through her poisons, because if it's not enough attack, she just won't be killing them. So she does do a ton of damage though, which is pretty sweet. But either way, that is the takeover for this account. Ject, I appreciate you reaching out to me to have me do this takeover for you. If you guys are interested in having one done for yourself, just click the link down below, get signed up, and we can get it going. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Good luck in your accounts, and I'll catch you all in the next one.